which is rare for us. All right, I'll show you some film here, and then we'll talk about our rocket stuff. You can kind of see I got several different clips of the film. It gives a little bit better idea.
So when you call that a 20 series, like an outside veer, which would you call it, like 26?
Yep, yeah, and regular veer would be 36. And now you guys know we're playing you next year. Now
Well,
you
we
know
don't
you
get
get
to
to
lie
lie
over
over
call.
Actually, close that out. No, and that's where we also have one-word codes for it. You know, which those I won't share with you. The one-word codes are for our sort of plays we like to run a lot. And then I got, okay, we want to, maybe I want to run a fullback dive. I want my fullback to get the ball. Let's say a short yardage, and I just want to run through the open hole. So my quarterback get up, and it'd be thing 0, and he's just calling out the number. If you do that once or twice a game, defenses don't pick up on it. You start to run your one-word codes, they pick up, and then you need to have opposite calls and all that kind of stuff. All right, so here's that twins look I was talking about. We have twins to the right, tight end, then our wing. Against the 50 team now, I put this on here to show you what that pinch scrape looks like. Our tight end, first-year player here at tight end, blocks the read key, which is not a good thing. But even if he were not to block the read key, we'd still be screwed on this. This dude's an outside player. He's 9, but he's going to pinch down to force quarterback keep, and then this backer scrapes over the top. Because this is a corner walk down into the box, we have no way. It's a dead play. Now this team, the linebacker doesn't make a good play, but you'll see what I'm talking about when you run into issues where you have a scrape scheme. See how I'll put it in slow motion here. This is one of those where like live looks, oh, what a great play, and then you watch the film and you go, oh, they just messed up. So he scrapes over the top, this number 2 here. He should be a quarterback player. See that right there? He's unblocked. He should be smoking the quarterback. And if I'm their D coach, I'm pissed, right? Because you've got a good defense. So this is where having that check system in place, you see that, oh, hey, we're either better off running triple at that or run something inside, midline, or run it back to the 2-man surface. I got to apologize. We don't have end zone film. My head coach doesn't want to do the end zone tape. So we're a small school. You get that. All right. So here's a 50 team. No automatic. Well, here's there. All right. So 52 team, strong safety. We're running essentially outside veer with no pitch. So here's our 1. Now this guy, if we're running triple, would be 2. Since it's just our 2-man game, we're blocking him up. So you'll see what I was talking about with that triple team. Our guard, tackle, and tight end are going to work the double and then combo up to that inside backer, reading him, and our wing is arcing for the outside shoulder. Put it in slow motion here. So this guy slants in, so now our guard and tackle are going to take over, and then our tight end can work up right away. This is the advantage of working those scoop blocks. Now you can see if it were to be a give, how you have that nice wall right there. And now you're asking the free safety to come and tackle our fullback, who's our top 3 player. It goes quarterback, wing, and fullback. I mean, we're all pretty good. With your wings, arc blocking, it's important that they take a wide arc path. You'll see his path, he gets too vertical, and he doesn't get to the outside of this number 2. Well, not number 2 anymore, but outside the strong safety. See how right here kind of hesitates? He should be on the outside shoulder because it's key. He's blocking for quarterback, and our quarterback has to work around the block. Or if you run that outside shoulder, you'll probably get in there a little bit better. One thing, if you do put in the outside veer, and I was talking to guys earlier, it's a longer read for your quarterback. In that first step, this is early in the year, that first step needs to be extra wide and gather. And because it's a longer read, you just got to be comfortable sitting in it longer. What we find is oftentimes these DNs will come up and then down, rather than like on inside veer, if he's up at all, it's right away we're given. Oh, we're gonna go back here to the snap detection. All right, so here's a good look at it. This is against a 4-3 team. We got into this tray formation, so our tight end's uncovered, tight end wing, and then that's our other wing split out. They block their strong safety down in the box, essentially turns into a 4-4 look out of this. We're still reading here. It's outside veer, he's a 9. So our tight end, he's working the backer, and then our wing, in the previous clip, was arcing to a safety who was at like 8 to 10. Well, now that safety's down in the box, he's still working his arc rules. I'll play it live, and then I'll go in slow motion here. quarterback's footwork. His first step should be a little bit deeper, a little bit wider. Pretty easy read. And now we're out on the edge. This is where, too, with that strong safety down in the box, if you wanted to run some play action, it certainly opens up a lot of options. You could run play action, and then you could run this guy out into the flat. There's really no flat defender out there. In theory, you also have vertical routes as well. They're running a cover 3 against 4 receiver set. Good finish.
Can you start it one more time?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, let me go quick change the second.
What's your coaching points on mesh? Like, how do you teach that?
Yeah, so, midline, inside veer, and outside veer all have different footwork. This is one thing we looked at adding pistol and running off pistol as well, and then I realized now we're adding 3 more footwork, so everything's at the line. So we use that kind of clock teaching method. So on midline, it's a step back, and he's replacing. Inside veer, teach you 45-degree step, short step. Outside veer is just we call it a hop step. This quarterback's older brother actually is playing at Stout right now. Tall kid, like 6'2", 6'3". Outside veer was great for him because he had such long steps to begin with. Inside veer was tough. This kid's the opposite. He was real good at inside veer. Outside veer was tougher because he had to take that big hop step. Fullback's footwork is actually the most important on outside veer. Everything else is basically at his aiming point. On outside veer, we teach a 6-inch slide step and then a crossover step. Because if he goes right at the read key, right at his aiming point, it doesn't time up. He gets there too fast. So you have to deepen him up, and then the angles aren't as good. He's at such an extreme angle. We want him when he's at the line of scrimmage to get back vertical. So if you look at putting an outside veer, when we did that, that changed our meshes entirely. A little 6-inch side step, crossover, and then he's on his path. When the fullback gets to the line of scrimmage, he's got to hit it and get vertical and fight through that tackle. So that's the biggest thing. Your fullback's got to be willing to run through a wall. Otherwise, if he gets stopped at that line of scrimmage, now the quarterback's got a bubble and the whole play starts to fall apart.
And was their D line that far off every snap or no?
Yeah, this game they were, and I was kind of like, okay. Yeah, I don't know why. I can tell you on that one. Yeah, it looks odd, doesn't it?
I'll take it.
I think part of what they were doing, we played this team again in the playoffs. They were trying to jam our old linemen at the line of scrimmage to not let them release the backers and then just to slow down the read. And I think that's why they did it, was they were trying to play kind of a read front with their defense. It wasn't super effective. But I mean, I shouldn't talk too much. You can see some of our old line out. Our technique's not always good either. It's not uncommon for us to take a kid. Like the kid playing tight end last year, he was a receiver. Now he's got to play tight end. 1 year, our quarterback, who was a senior, he moved to tight end. Small school, you kind of work with what you got sometimes. All right, so this is against a 3-3 stack team. I included this clip because what this team was doing here is, with motion, they were slanting the D-line to motion, and they were also sliding to the backers to try and, to match our motion. So we got into our tray formation. Here's tight end wing, and then our other wing is off the camera. So we actually run him in a motion to the left, and then we come back to the right with our 2-man game. So it almost becomes a counter look. We don't have to call counter. I just add the tag of the motion. So the play call goes in, it's just a tag for the motion, and then our 2-man game. So you'll see I'll play live, and I'll do a slow motion here. You see how they start sliding, and then we come back. Free safety, fullback had the ball. So you see when we motion, they start sliding. They're taking themselves out of position. They slant here, so we get the triple team. I mean, we have great blocking angles. Get up. Get that alley. This also I was talking about the late read. So if like on inside veer midline, you teach that those shoulders are vertical, right? If they're up the field, automatic give right away. Well, if you're to do this on outside veer, you're not going to get good reads. You'll see how he comes up, but then comes flat late and actually back into the fullback because we get so much movement on our double team here. Again, having a senior quarterback, I love this because you actually see his eyes. You can tell his eyes are on it the whole time. Very disciplined, pulls late, let it clear, now he's going to get up the field. Get down. All right, this is against Colby. Now, when we went into our, this is our trade twins look here, so we, instead of having the wing, we just kicked them out. First time we got into this, they actually put the linebacker, they're a 4-3 team, they wind the linebacker and play the safety over the top of it. So we call 26, or we call our outside veer two-man game, it's actually no good. We really don't have any way to block this guy. He's apexing on the snap, he actually comes up and in, it's too tough to block for our wing, plus it's not his rule, right? Because he knows here's the Riki, he's doing his L rule, he's looking downfield, so that would be a rule breaker. So I'll show you why it doesn't work, but then what we did to take advantage of that. And this is where having multiple formations and a check system can be really valuable. I actually asked my quarterback after the play, I said, why did you keep it? He gave me the answer. He said, well, we didn't have anyone to block whatever kid that number is. He said, well, couldn't block him. Oh, okay, that's a good answer. Because right here he sees though that this dude is going to come up, and so he just gave. He saw it, oh, bad play, live with it, fight another day. Because here's our one, our tight end, he has to inside release, because it's a stand-up 9, while this backer being out, there's really no one for him to block. So we see the outside two-man game is going to be no good. So we come back, I think it's either the second half or a couple series later. We say, well, all right, well, if you're going to play essentially 3 out here to R2, right, they got the backer plus the safety, 3 to R2, well, now we'll run midline. Because this backer who before was inside, which makes midline not so good, now he's out, well, there's a huge alley. So we just come and run midline at it. You'll see we got a nice play here. Right up the seam. You know, that safety being so far off, it's a tough play for him to make. And we have great blocking angles. We actually end up getting 3 on the mic. I'll do it in slow motion here. So you see quarterback's eyes, right on the Riki, good footwork clearing, fullback is straight up the center's ass. Guard inside release, tackle outside release. Tight end, he works his read. This is where that elbow is real helpful. So that tight end, he had, I think, from this clip, like a head up. So he's lined up. Here, I'll do it so you guys can see. He knows midline, that tackle is going to be the Riki. It's to his left, so he's going to hold up, or to his right, hold up his hand. All right, I'm blocking backside gap. Well, he's got a man, not backside gap, but head up, which is his, backside gap, head up, I'm right there. If this guy were to walk out, hold up the elbow, backside gap, I'm right there. You know, so it's a good system. It allows your kids to all be on the same page.
Do you make a line call like who they're reading?
Who they're reading?
Yeah.
Yeah, our line every play gets up and calls out 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Even if we're running rocket or fullback dive, they'll call 1, 2. They just know there is no 1 or 2. Otherwise, that sort of gives it away. Hey, here's 1. Oh, right away you know. So, and that's where calling every time teams at first they think they got to figure it out, and then well, he called 1, but now I'm getting double team as fullback dive.
Right.
So, yeah, we'll do dummy calls on the 1, 2. As far as scoop blocking goes, it's going to be our backside guard who decides how the combos are going to work, like on midline, for example. So if he, let's say we're running midline, let's say I'm playing left guard, we're running midline to the right, so it's right A gap. If I have a 2-eye or a shade, we're working scoop blocks, right? But that guard says, I can't get there. So now he gets to call the center off, say, hey, I need help. So now the center and that backside guard are going to combo that 1. It's usually fine because there's not another guy in the front side A, and if there is, then we should be checking out to something else.
So you'll read the A, yeah.
First guy outside the A gap, yep. So we
outside the A gap.
Yeah.
So you'll down block the A gap.
I'm not understanding your question.
So if he's in the A gap,
Yep.
you're gonna block.
We'll read
the
1 out. Yeah, we'll read out. If we let's say we have midline call a team, maybe they're a 3 and a 1, and then we start arcades and that 3 kicks down into a 1. Well, our guard, his rule is backside gap, right? So that 3 suddenly kicked into a 1. He's now in my backside gap. Now I got to take him, and then it turns into fullback dive.
2-eye you'll read.
No, it's too tough. It happens too fast. We've tried it. It's just not so good. Yeah.
So basically 2 and out.
2 and out. Yeah. 2 and out. If you get sometimes you get a big defensive tackle who's a 2-eye, but he's pretty slow, then you can. But then it really doesn't matter if he's just that slow. It doesn't really matter what you do. But against the real good teams, if they're a 2-eye, it's just the angle becomes real tough. One thing we will do if we get say a 2-eye and then a 3 to the backside, because are basic, or something like that. We'll run what we call bend, where it looks like option and it's an automatic give, and our fullback knows he's bending back behind the center. Turns into like a little mini counter play. So it looks like veer and everything, but then it's an automatic cut backside. So we will do that. All right, so here's what I was talking about, some play action. We're in our Trey twins look, so tight end. Slot, this would be our right wing now is out on the left side as a slot, and we have another wing off camera. This is that same team that I showed earlier, Durant. Now, first time we played them, we have a fairly tall receiver out here. A couple key downs, we were running slants to the single man side. So they actually take their free safety and they shade him out here. Well, if you look at it, they have a corner, that's the strong safety. Free safety is on the other side of the ball. We have 3 to their 2. And we're going to run play action. We actually thought we were going to get number 2 here on the seam. The safety stays on number 2. The backer comes on a blitz, and you'll see there's no one on the tight end now on the vertical route. See, he starts to creep our quarterback, sees this, pre-snap, fake, sets high, lets it clear, and we have tight end right up the seam.
Will you let the quarterback check into that?
Check into the passing? No. No, I won't. Not that I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to it. That might be, kid we got coming up next year, pretty good arm. Like, he really should be at a different school that throws the ball more. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, I don't want to tell him that obviously, but it's like, dude, if you were at a passing school, man, you got some scholarship potential. Strong arm, tall kid, kind of your prototypical quarterback. We might get into some more of that stuff. We might look at some gun stuff with him just because we feel like we want to take advantage of it. The problem is, as you can see, our line is pretty small. So base blocking is not one of our strengths here. All right, this is the last one. All right, so this is against Mondovi, as I said, played them for essentially what was the conference title. They had not given up a point all year until the time we played them, second to last game of the season. Very good team, super physical, they're just a phenomenal team. Now they're a 52 front team, or a 3-4, whatever you want to call it. And we were having such a hard time inside that we're like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We put this package in. We actually go to a 4-man surface. So we have guard, tackle, extra tackle, tight end, and then we took our wing and split them out. And what that does is that kicked them out of their base alignment. So instead of being, the 4-0-4 that the 50 teams like to stay in, now they have to shift. And now we get we get a bubble to this backside. Whereas before, it's pretty tough to run. If you got a 4 and then, essentially a 5, it's tough. There's not much room there for the read. So we got them off their keys, and now we actually come back into the boundary with our 2-man game. Yeah, easy read, 10 yards. And I'm not, 10 yards were not easy to come by in this game. This one coaching point, our wing, he does a good job on his initial arc, but then he gets stacked up with this number 1 here instead of staying to his outside shoulder. Where if he, I'll slow motion when we get there. If he stays on the outside, see his initial arc path is pretty good, then he gets vertical. See, he's outside, and it comes in right there, that left foot. And now that allows the guy over the top. Where if he were to stay outside and get that outside shoulder, we might get the sideline here for a much bigger play. But you can see now, just look at, you can see the size of 62 compared to the size of our guys.
Yeah, but when you slid him in, he was able to watch him.
Yeah, by sliding him in, now we can get that double team. Whereas before, when he stays in the 4, my 170-pound tackle, he's having a hard time base blocking a 220, 230 kid. So we got him off his landmark, now we can get to our double teams that we like. You see the guard and tackle, they do a good job with that double team right there. Even though number 2 stays flat-footed, our quarterback knew that he was probably going to get a late pull, plus the quarterback just wanted a big play. He's that kind of kid. And, it works sometimes. All right, so that's a taste of our 2-man game.